Yeah, there are lots of claims of mistakes in the Quran, and part of what I will teach you eventually is the allegations of grammatical mistakes in the Quran, the allegations of historical mistakes in the Quran, the allegations of contradictions in the Quran, the allegations of scientific inconsistencies in the Quran. There are lots of claims about mistakes and errors and inconsistencies, and even people even say Arabic mistakes in the Quran. They are an Arabic mistake when they say there are Arabic mistakes in the Quran. But there's no one answer for that. And let me just tell you, when people say things like that, they're looking for an excuse to just dismiss the word of Allah. It's not like they studied the issue deeply. It's not like they know the text for what it is. It's not like they have academic background in what they're saying. They've just Googled a couple of websites and they found some evangelical trying to bash the Quran, or some anti-Muslim atheist group that put some hobgobble together, and they read that stuff or watched a YouTube video. If you watch this video, you're not going to be Muslim anymore. Stop wasting your time with that stuff, and stop entangling yourself in arguments that aren't based on actual knowledge. And you know what? Once you answer a question like where's the contradiction? Look at this, and you answer it, they say, let me find another one. So don't entangle yourself with ignorance. No, the Quran said, the people at the time of the Prophet ﷺ said that he borrowed it from jinn, right? Bihi jinnah, he's possessed. Oh, he's yumla alayhi bukratan wa asila. He's being dictated to. He didn't get this himself. He's copying from somebody else. These allegations existed even then. They're recorded in the Quran. And Allah just didn't say, okay, well, let me prove to you why that's not the case. He didn't do that. He just let the word speak for itself. And if this was copied, and if this was, jinns talking, then jinns can still copy and talk, right? Why don't these copiers and these jinns and whatever other source, if this is such a weak text, then how come nothing of the like has ever been produced? How come no text in the history of humanity had the impact on the globe in such rapid fashion that this text had? One way of measuring the power of a text, power of a literature, is its impact, right? Here you have this Quran, and within a quarter century, an entire region is transformed, not just politically, socially, economically, psychologically, anthropologically, in terms of their manners, in terms of their diet, in terms of their sleeping schedule, in terms of how they get married and how they get divorced, and what they do when they have their kids. Their rituals have changed. Everything about them has changed. And then they're traveling the world, and the world is transforming. How? With made-up words? With words that have contradiction? So all those thousands of people that became these people, that dedicated lives to scholarship, some of these doctors, some of these philosophers, some of these chemists, some of these physicists, these were the mufassirun. But they failed to see contradictions in the Quran that you found on Google. The fathers of modern medicine didn't see the contradictions that you can see. The people that developed sciences like astronomy to levels that humanity had never seen, that developed architecture like it had never been seen, failed to see the logical inconsistencies in the Quran that somehow you have discovered by your exhaustive research. Is that not intellectual arrogance? And it's not even arrogance built upon actual intellect. It's arrogance built upon laziness. I don't want to follow this religion, and I want to hide behind the fact that I'm too smart to follow it. Okay, you live in that pretend, that's fine. So when your friends say that, it's just they're burnt about something. Some Maulvi beat them up when they were little and they're traumatized by it. And I don't make fun of that, because there are unfortunately cases of, children being abused or people being abused in the name of religion, and then they turn away from religion, and then they cling on to whatever justification they can to stay away from Allah's religion, right? But the root of it was abuse that happened to them. The root of it was they weren't treated right by somebody in the name of Islam. And that's why it really happened. So your friends may not actually have a logical issue. 99% of the time when I've dealt with people like that, there's a psychological issue. Not that they're crazy or psychotic, but they've been hurt by something. And that propelled them in this direction. It's not that they discovered while studying the Quran that there are contradictions and therefore, no. Some people have that. That's fine, and we can discuss and debate those things. There are some people that find, a faith crisis, and they, after doing exhaustive study and discovery, they're, stuck somewhere, and they can't. One of my favorite friends, I won't name him because he gets embarrassed. He was a philosophy major. He was doing his. He was so smart. SubhanAllah, like this kid finished his bachelor's degree, like in 2 years, and went straight to he skipped the master's program, went straight to, got accepted straight into a PhD in philosophy program, right? And he and I got to know each other at the masjid, and he said, "Man, I can't believe I'm here." I was like, "Why?" He said, "Well, because my parents aren't that religious, and when I turned towards um, philosophy, they were really freaking out. So I wanted to just show them how stupid Islam is, because I know philosophy, I've studied it exhaustively. I know modern writers too. I know psychology and philosophy. I mean, he's super smart." And he's like, I start studying philosophy and I start coming at the Quran. I'm like, I'm going to tear this book apart. I'm just going to show them exactly why they should be like me, not me like them. And he says, every time I came to the Quran with a philosophical issue, and I said, because he's rigorous in the way he studies, right? And so he rigorously studies the issue from the Quran. And he says, the Quran, it was like I was wrestling with this book, and this book was pinning me down. Like it just pinned me down. And I was like, ugh, I got to find some other attack. And I came at it again, and it pinned me down again. And it came again, and it pinned me down again. And I was like, fine, it's from God. Okay, I give up. I give up. You know what that is, though? That's intellectual honesty. Like him being pinned down was not because he could justify his position and still dismiss what he's seeing. But he was honest with himself enough to see that there is an answer here. There is something here that's responding to my query. And it put him in his place. I had to go through that journey myself. I had to find why should I believe in this book? Why? My parents aren't forcing me to be Muslim. I have no reason. I'm living in New York. I'm by myself. I can do what I have complete freedom. Why should I give up my freedom? Why should I look weird and act weird in the middle of like Times Square making full rak'ah and people are looking at me funny? And why should I do that to myself? I have to have real reason to do this. And it can't just be you're going to burn in hell. Why do I believe in hell? Why should I believe in hell? Why should I believe in this God? Why should I believe in this book? I went through those questions for myself. And the way I arrived at those answers may not be the same way you will arrive at those answers, or somebody who's struggling. It may not be the same journey, but those who genuinely embark on this journey, Allah does not leave them out. It doesn't matter if your friend thinks there's contradictions in the Quran. If they genuinely seek the answers, then I have, complete conviction that Allah will not leave them in misguidance. But if they are still stuck in a cycle where they have to argue for the sake of argument, then that cannot be helped. They have to help themselves out of that. So with that, inshallah, I'll conclude today's